my God, it's the BC3 Amigos. We are back here again. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here in the month of August. And we are so excited because obviously after coming off of a podcast we did last month where we invited somebody to visit us and talk about life, this month we thought we need to educate our friendly neighborhood subscribers as well as users all around our BC community. And so today is an education day for us. So this is our podcast for education, tips and tricks, things like that. And the great part is, we're going to go round robin like we always do. And Kim will do something, I'll do something, and Rob will do something. So it's going to be really fun. Um, Hopefully you'll take a lot away from this in terms of education and stuff. By the way, if you do have a thought, we always like to say this, we did this the last time at the beginning. If you have an idea of some education that you want us to do, and we don't want to do, maybe it's a long education, maybe we do a 45-minute education, maybe we do like 2 15-minute education, so a little longer than our snippets we do here. Please feel free to reach out to us. You can contact us through our YouTube channel. Our email addresses are there. Or reach out to us on LinkedIn. You can always find all three of us on LinkedIn anywhere. So please do. But other than that, guys, hey, it's halfway through the summer. So I got to ask the question. So what's new? What's up? How's the summer going? What's the the BC3 Amigos doing this summer? Anything good? Because we're already halfway through. In another 30 days, we're going to be, into September. So the sun, it's going to be the story's over kind of thing for the summer.
Yeah, I'm just staying inside where it's cool. I'm not getting out in that 100-degree weather.
Hey, I had a weatherman tell us the other day that now that it's August, it's going to start getting cooler. And I'm like, what planet is he on?
I'm telling you,
My husband the other day said, there's only going to be about 5 more days of 100-degree weather. It's a cool August. It's like, yeah, it's true. It's actually true.
I don't know, up here in New England, it's like for us to believe a weatherman is like, for us to believe the government kind of scenario. It's like they'll tell you it's going to be X, and then you look outside the window like it's raining. Where did you say X? Or they'll say we're going to have a nor'easter. Yeah, there's nothing outside, but you go to school, get that degree in weatherman school, whatever they call it, and become a weatherman. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and get it right 10% of the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, gang, one other thing, next month, obviously, on our podcast next month, we will probably be talking, either having a visitor show up. We're just waiting to hear from another outside visitor to see if their availability next month in September. And then, of course, at the end of our podcast here, we'll talk about where we're going to be and where we're going and what we're doing. So we're getting into our conference season, fall conference season, going into the holidays. So it'll be pretty exciting. At the end, we'll talk about all of that. We'll go round robin and we'll tell us where we are, where we're going to be, and kind of where you should go and visit. And certainly don't forget about our BC Three Amigos discounts to some of the conferences. So, but enough about that. Let's go into education. So I think first, our residential cowboy wants to start first this time around, and he has one of his favorite topics that Kim and I just sit back and like, yep, we've heard this one before. No, I'm only kidding. But he loves this topic because he lives and breathes it 24/7. So, Rob, it's all yours.
Well, thank you, Steve. So today, folks, I want to remind you that Summit is coming, and I'm also teaching some academy classes there. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to give you a little showcase of what some of the topics I'm going to be covering when I teach service management, service in the real world at Academy. So without further ado, let me present in service.
This is always the trick. We need a drum roll.
I know.
Will it display or not?
I'm waiting for the easy. We're all gonna get easy buttons, and so we're all gonna have this easy button sitting there, so that when it works, we can go.
That was easy.
No.
I can't. Are y'all seeing it?
Oh, it's coming up now.
Yes, we can.
There we go.
Awesome.
So we're going to now dive into service management. I'm going to teach you a little bit about some of the standard functionality that comes out of the box. So if you're a company that sells an item that you're eventually going to service, you don't want to take the time to sell it and then turn around and convert this to a service item, because you got to have a service item. You want the system to automatically do that. So how does that happen? Well, we have something called a service item group code that we attach to the items. So let me bring up some items for a moment. We're going to take a look at some differences here.
This is probably the only thing I know about service
So
because you've showed it to me.
I put a filter on here. These are the items that when I sell them, I want to be able to have a serviceable item. As opposed to when I sell a part, I don't need to have a service item set up for that. So how do we do that? So the reason I've got this filter set out here is the service item group code is set to not blank. So what does that mean? Well, let's look at this item that I'm eventually going to sell. I'm eventually going to sell this item out here. We'll take a look at it for just a second. And on this service item, or on this item, I have a service item group code. And that service item group code, we're going to drill into it for a second. And it's going to say, if I open up the details, it says that when I sell this, create a service item. Now, there are some other fields out here that are really great for it too. I'm not going to go into that today, but if you come to my service class, I'll teach you about contract discounts. I'll teach you about service price group codes and default response times if you need it. But most importantly today, if I sell one of these items, it's going to be converted to a service item. Now, the other thing is, well, you say, well, so what about that? What's the big deal? Everybody has the same code. Well, not so. Let's go back and take a look at the details behind a service item group code for a minute. So depending on the item, and again, I'm currently in a generator selling company, so they sell generators and then they service them. But imagine for a moment that I was in a company that sold and serviced not just generators, but refrigerators and washers and dryers. You have different types of equipment or different types of technicians or different types of parts you use in those different pieces of equipment. So let's go look at this particular service item group for a moment and see what I can do behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, I can establish the types of service that I would do for that piece of equipment. And let's look at this change of the battery. So that means that when I set this up as an item or a service item on the worksheet, this is the type of stuff that I'm going to bring into the worksheet. I'm going to say I need a battery and I need to do the replacement service on that. So that certainly gives me a leg up on all the data entry that I would have to do when I sell it. So not only do I get to create the service item when I sell the item, but I also get to have these service codes available to me when I'm later on going to do service. So let's go back and walk through a simple sale. So let's go ahead and sell one of those pieces of equipment to a customer. So we have a customer out there. Let's look at our customer list. And notice that we have this customer out here, Gene's Bar and Grill. And Gene calls us up because while he's talking to us, he's telling us he's got a problem. He's got a bar. He has a friend that's out in San Antonio, and his friend has a super generator out there that when the power goes out, he's always reliable. So we look at what Gene has, and Gene has this old generic generator that's been around forever. There's no warranty information on it. It's nothing. So Gene is saying, I want something similar, something that's going to keep me good when I have a power outage down here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new document for Gene, and we're going to create a sales order for him. And we're going to put on that sales order the item that he wants. So we're going to do a 26 RCA, and we're going to go with the QS11. And we're going to put on here that we want one of those. And the next thing we knew is, well, we need a serial number. So let's go put a serial number on there for what we're going to sell him. And we got plenty of those in stock. So let's go grab lucky number 8. So when we create this sales order out here and we ship that number 8, that is going to be the serial number that we register this piece of equipment with so that we can go work on it later on down the road. So now Gene gives us his PO and he says that's Gino. and we're ready to go and go ahead and post that item out there. So when we post this, and by the way, it doesn't have to be the invoice. As soon as I ship it, it becomes a service item. But we'll go ahead and ship and invoice it. And I always love it when the setups I've got in the system actually work. So,
It's handy.
yeah. And now we're going to go look at that. Actually, we're not going to look at the sales invoice, because we're just going to go back to Gene for a moment. We're on Gene's customer card, and I'm going to go back up to service items. And lo and behold, there is that new service item that we have out there. That's the item we sold them, and that is the serial number, lucky number 8. And notice it brings over all kinds of great information that's out here in terms of what's warranty information out here. So now Gene's had this for a couple of days, and suddenly we get a phone call from Gene, and he's saying, "Hey, I've got a problem. The power went out the other night, and it's not working. Can you come look at it?" Well, let's go ahead, and we are going to create a service order for this item and for this customer, and we're going to say no power. And of course, we can go look up that service item, and because Gene has several service items out there, I want to grab the one that he's actually calling about. And notice it says that it's under warranty. So that's great, but we don't know what's going on with it. So I'm going to go to my functions button here. And this is where, because remember what I showed you before, based on this particular service item group code that was attached to the item, we're going to go back to the details, and I'm going to go up to my standard service codes. These are the types of things that I've assigned that I could be potentially doing for this customer. And one of the things we know we're going to have to do is we're going to do this diagnostics out here. And what does that mean? That means I'm going to put on there a charge for diagnostics. And I'm also going to do some travel, because it's going to cost me some money to go out there. And we're going to say that there's a travel charge out there. So just so you see what's going to happen behind the scenes here. So now I'm going to say, okay, let's go grab some of those work types that we want to do. And I'm going to say, I want to grab multiple service codes. So today, the first thing I know is I'm going to have to do a diagnostics on it. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to select more. And I'm also going to charge him for travel. And I'm going to add that to my order. And so there you see, everything comes over. It's under warranty, and we're ready to roll. So I'm now going to dispatch my technician to go out there, and I'm going to change the schedule to be routed. And again, this is something later on, I'll explain that repair status code to you when y'all come out to my service class. We're going to go back to the service order, and I'm going to close all of this, and we're going to have the technician out there. So now we're all set out there. The technician's working on it, and he calls back and he goes, "Man, I don't know what the hell happened to this thing, but we're going to have to do some major overhaul on it." I go, "Well, what happened?" He says, "Well, one of the customers got a little rowdy, and Bubba shot the jukebox. But when he shot the jukebox, he actually hit the generator too, and he put some holes in it. So we got to do some repairs." And he says, "And that stuff is not under warranty." So we go back to my function button for a minute. I say, get some multiple service codes again. And this time I'm going to do a major repair on that thing, and I'm going to add it to the order. And now look what it did. It grabbed in this major repair. It's put some parts on there. And unfortunately, because we originally listed that as a warranty item, I now need to go ahead and exclude the warranty. And I have to take it off manually, because I can't do it because I originally set this up as a warranty call. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to take all the warranty off of this thing. Yep. And yeah.
It would have been good if that song could come on that said, "Bubba shot the jukebox."
And we're going to say toll roads in Houston, because we know we got plenty of them.
That's true.
Bubba,
All right.
off the jukebox.
So now we got all this work out here ready to roll, and our technician's out here, and we got to put some more notes on here. First thing we're going to do is we are going to put a comment on here. Oops. And we're going to come back out here and say the fault code. And that fault code was Bubba shot the jukebox.
I don't know, Kim. I mean, I'm thinking I should hold up my little guy here and or my little hat and just I'll be the Bubba today shooting the jukebox.
There's
All right.
Bubba.
So we got this comment out here, it was originally under a warranty. Now, here's some of the other things. We're going to get a couple of error messages because the system requires certain things, and I'm going to walk them through and teach you that here are some things that we will cover in our setup when we go to the service class at the academy. So, okay, we're all done. Let's go ahead and post this. And I know we're going to get some errors because I didn't fill out all the stuff, and it's going to give us the warnings. So the first warning we're going to get is we haven't specified the service order type. And that's something that we want to know because we can also set some dimensions on this. And we were originally going to call this a warranty, but this became a regular repair. And we're going to update the dimensions so we get all those cool dimensions on there. And so we're going to try and post again and again. We're going to get another error messages because we didn't do something else. And the next message is, well, we have to have a finishing date. And again, this comes back to what I was talking about earlier. These repair status codes mean something. So for today's exercise, I'm just going to come up here and say it was completed. And we're going to go ahead and hit home. And of course, we're going to get one more error message. And we're going to hit ship and receive. And it says, well, no, you need an external document number. So again, if you come to my service class, you'll learn that you can avoid all those errors before you get to class.
The great teaser for your class, Rob.
There you go. So now we can go ahead and we can post. And we're going to ship an invoice. And this time it should go through.
Looks good.
All right.
And now we're just going to say yes, because we can go look at that service invoice for a second. And you can find all your entries out here that include some of your service entries, that ledger entries that are out here showing you what you've done on that particular piece of equipment. And the next time you come for service on that item, it is going to show you that you can look that all up. So there you go. There's a quick view of some of the functionality you're going to see and learn when I teach the Service Academy class.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. All right, Kim. What are you going to teach us today? I'm excited. I just learned service, so now I know how I can use service in Business Central with a little teaser because I'm going to have to go to Rob's class, or else I'm not going to learn the rest anyway. But what am I going to learn today from Kim?
That's a good question. And how do you do this? Let's see.
There we
There
go.
we go.
Chrono.
Okay. Well, I do want to tease a little bit about my class at Summit. But you know something? I had a client come up with this week, and it's something that I'm always doing wrong, and I thought I'm going to share it.
Sure.
So what it is doing apply entries, not when you're in a payment journal or deposit or cash receipts journal, but when after the fact you need to apply something. So
Happens
Ooh,
all the
this-
time.
Big time. Yeah.
so let's go into customer ledger. Oh, yeah, that's something else entirely. Analysis modes. I'm starting to use them, guys, starting to learn. So I'm going to go ahead and say this payment paid this invoice. I got the payment, didn't know what it was. That's because we hadn't issued the invoice yet. Oh, did it backwards, right? And so now I want to apply that payment to that invoice. And so I'm going to click on the payment. Doesn't matter which line you're on, really, but I'm going to apply entries. Now, some people like to use this option here. There's also a menu option for it at the top. And all you have to do is set applies to ID. Whoops, I'm on the wrong screen. Okay.
Now, Kim, you said something, though, and I've always been taught that you should always use a credit memo or a payment to close an invoice. You shouldn't use an invoice to close a payment.
It's true. It doesn't matter if it's one-to-one, but if you're applying a payment to multiple invoices, it makes sense. So I think the best practice is to use a payment or a credit memo. That's a very good. For some reason, I cannot set my applies to ID. There we go. Finally did it. All right. Because what happens is whatever you're on when you say do the applies to, that's what it puts up in the header, if you will. And then you're telling it what you want to apply to. So If I pick an invoice up here and I'm trying to apply it to a payment, that would go down here. But what if I had multiple invoices that I'm trying to apply to? It just kind of gets clunky. So here I'm done and I close.
No, you didn't hit the
Well, hang on. But that's what I do anytime I'm in a cash receipts journal or if I'm working with vendors. We set the applies to and we say okay. The problem is here, that's not an okay at the bottom. It just says close, so that's what it did. Right? And well, I'm gonna close this one more time. And we notice over here that our remaining amount didn't nothing happened to it. And that's because we handled it just like we would in one of our journals. And it just doesn't work the same way. Here, it doesn't know. We closed it. It just says close. And then in our journals, we have to post. So that's what we have to do here is post application. But it is so easy to set applies to and close the screen because that's what you do 90% of the time. So you just simply have to remember post application. And of course, watch your dates. I typically leave mine the same if I can. And there we go. It's as simple as that. And people go, that's all I had to do? Yeah, that's all you had to do. It's just that extra step. So I wanted to point that out. And it works the same way on the vendor side when you need to apply maybe a credit memo to an invoice or something like that. So that's just my tip, if you will. We're going to spend a lot of time in our 101 class, which is a basic accounting class on the first day of training. We're going to cover basic setups. I shouldn't say setups, basic concepts, the chart of accounts, dimensions. We're going to spend a lot of time in journals. I'm really kind of amazed at how many clients already using Business Central aren't utilizing their journals as effectively as they could.
good point.
So we're going to talk about general journals. We're going to talk about recurring journals and not just talk about them. We're going to do um, a lot of hands-on. I want to show standard journals, things like that, how you can copy journal, why a journal isn't there for you to copy. That's just a simple setup. Uh, and if you come from an old version and you've just been upgraded, if you don't do the setup, you don't get the copies. I think the biggest thing for people, there's two things in our journals in Business Central. The first thing is that account type and account number go together. Most people think the only thing I can do here is pick a GL account, right? And I put an amount in, and I come down and I do my next GL account. And I'm real fancy here. Oh, I don't want one of those. There we go. Was in the wrong account and I do $500. Or maybe that's 200 and I have another line. That's great. It works, right? But I can do so much more. Maybe I need to write off 25 cents on a customer invoice. I can do it right here in my journal. And maybe that's part of the work I'm doing the month. I'm looking at my details in my customer ledger and checking for anything that's, way past due. And I see a 25 cents sitting over here. I don't have to go do a credit memo to write it off. I can simply come here and pick my customer. Well, let's don't pick a foreign currency one if we don't have to. And again, I can write off my it's a negative 25, right, to take it out of there. Oh, while I'm here on this line, I can go do my apply entries and find that 25 cents and set the applies to ID, right? So what happens when I do that? Well, when I post it, it connects the dots in the ledger entry that we just did, and it's done. I don't have to go back. Okay, but this isn't balanced. So I gotta write that off to, let's call it a bad debt or cash over under or something.
You
Well,
need a EL account type.
yeah, see, you gotta change that back. There we go, bad debt expense, and that's my positive 25. So this is just a different concept from a lot of those legacy systems out there, legacy systems, to be able to do so many things in a journal, and it just takes a little bit to get comfortable, and then you realize the power. Um, I talk to people about never, ever, ever post an entry directly to your receivables, your payables, your your bank account, and people just like, "What do you mean I can't post a journal entry?" Well, you can, but you gotta send it through the bank. So, don't go turn direct posting on. We're gonna talk about that a lot. Um, but learn to use all these different pieces. Now, I'll tell you, I use the top 4 90% of the time, and I don't have a lot of people using employees right now. Intercompany partner, I typically leave for an intercompany journal and not do it here. And fixed assets really has a better journal for it, although you can uh, use this one. So we do have some other journals that make it easier to post these others. Okay, so that's the first thing is just getting comfortable with account types. Now we're going to look over here and we're going to see, let's slide this a little bit. We have a balance account type. Well, guess what? We have the same things over here. So now on this first line, since it was a positive 500 that I'm debiting account 23200, this account, and I'm crediting another one, why don't I just put that on this line? And I don't need this one.
That's so cool.
So I just saved myself data entry, and I'm all about saving myself data entry. And I could do the same thing here. I'm doing a customer on this side, but I'm going to hit that bad debt expense on this line.
Now,
And
the benefit of doing it like you just did is it also shows up like that in the general ledger or in the chart of accounts. So in your ledger entries, you see that. So that's a really good thing to do.
it really is. I had a customer call the other day, and they were upset that so they have a quick mod that displays the source name. So it displays the customer name or the vendor name, but for ones that were put in a journal, it wasn't displaying those, and that's because they were always doing a two-line entry, not a one-line entry, and on a one-line entry, it doesn't matter whether you put the customer in the account type or the balance account type or the vendor, it will put that in the source number, source type, source number, source name. And so it was a simple change for them for their data entry, and now they get what they're looking for. Um, it does not work if I'm doing an entry such as, and I'll use these numbers again just so it's easy, and I need 500, and oh wait, I got to do 200 and 300.
Correct.
Right? It's much better if I come here, my account number repeats because I'm not balanced. That's another thing we talk about. The system was always trying to help you. And 23,800, I probably don't have one. Oh, I do. And a minus 200. So I needed 3 lines to make this happen, or I have to do 2 lines, one for each of these accounts, and I'd rather not. I'd rather see this going across that way. So there are times when multiple lines work better, um, but a lot of times you can just do a one-liner, and I think that's really great. Now, I'm old school now, as all of y'all know. I'm old, old, old. I don't like having the debit column and the credit column.
That's right.
Some people do, and that's great. I like doing my signs, right? This is my debit, this is my credit. So people say, well, what is it on your these one-liners? How do you know which is the debit and credit? Whatever amount you put in is going to hit your account. So in this case, I'm debiting this line, and on this case, I'm crediting the customer. How does this balance? How does this make a balanced entry in your general ledger? Because every time you go to a customer, it's going to look up the customer posting group and get the GL account for that customer, and how it gets the other accounting entry. So much that you can do in general journals. I talked to somebody the other day that had been on the system for 4 years and did not know that you should not work in somebody else's journal. And when I showed them and they started doing some hands-on, they're like, "Well, she just," and I'm like, "That's what I'm talking about." Somebody had gone in and set up multiple templates when I think they had really meant to set up multiple batches. So they had a template for monthly reports, for payroll templates, not batches. And so it really and why templates are important is, again, we'll cover that, but it helps you find things in when you're doing some history or analysis or something like that. So,
That's so cool. I mean,
and then
what about the have you ever tried allocations yet on
I've
those
done
lines?
some. I haven't find a lot of real world uses for it yet, is my problem. I think it works fine. I use allocations more in, uh, recurring journals, right?
Right,
Then I
right.
use this allocation account. I just haven't found the real world pieces for it.
Yeah,
So,
agreed.
this is a one-day class. It's really for, new users or people that maybe feel like they missed something in their training, and then we build on that for the next 2 days where we have, 2 more, it's accounting 201, 2 days long, and we go into a lot more in depth. We'll start doing some sales processing, some purchase processing, talk about financial reports, and just get a bit more in depth. So, yeah, come join us. We'll be there.
I love it,
Uh,
Kim.
all right,
This
Steve, it's
this is
yours.
I know it's my turn, and that was great. I hope everybody learned a lot about the general ledger. But as Rob and as Kim said, yes, they're mentioning the academy classes, which are the preamble to this year's community summit held in October, of course, the middle of the month. And our community academy occurs the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I believe it's 8, 9, and 10. I hope I did my numbers correctly. I could be wrong.
No,
Um, could be 9, 10, 11, possibly, but it's whatever
heck,
that
I
is.
don't know.
Hey, Steve, is it going to be cooler then?
I think it's gonna be much cooler then. I think it's gonna be a little chilled, but actually we're in Florida. So
That's
remember, we're
true.
in Orlando, which means potentially it's gonna be perfect for weather because remember, Florida in the fall is still warm. The academy is 10, 11, and 12. That's the
No,
Friday.
we're a week later, aren't we?
Not that I thought are we
It's
not
a it's a
I
I looked it up today. It's the 17th, 18th, 19th.
17, 18th, and 19th? Okay, then that's what it is.
I'm double checking, see if I'm
I'm
an
just,
idiot or not.
I'm gonna say, it is 17, 18, and 19
A
because
win for me.
a win for Kim. All right, let me share my screen, and, we'll talk more about Academy at the end of my session, so we'll talk about the future and what's going on and where we are. So let me share, a screen, so give me 30 seconds. Today, I thought, I know Rob and Kim have been talking about Academy. What I'm going to show you today is not in my Academy class, where my Academy class is all about manufacturing. It's a 3-day class where we go from basic through to advanced, and we take you through almost like an evolution from beginning to end of manufacturing. But you know what? I want to concentrate on what I'm here to talk about today. And, you know, I thought about this and I said, should I do it? It's a summit session. There is a summit session on this, and we are going to teach you in depth, do an in depth, deep dive into this on the 1099s, because as you know, BC has the ability to report your 1099s. And this year, with the wave coming out in November, you will have the ability to file your 1099s automatically through to the IRS through the automated connection to the IRS in the 1099 facility in Business Central. But I'm not here to show you that. What I'm really here to show you today is, shoot, people, have you freaking gotten your 1099 set up, for this year? I mean, don't want it to be January 31st and you're sitting there going, oh my God, I blew it. I'm late. Somebody's going to yell at me. The IRS is going to yell at me. Here you are. It's August. It's summertime. It's relaxing. Let's not wait till November and December. Let's start reacting now. And the good part is you can. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole setup here. I'm going to really talk about more about kind of the way it works and how it's set up. I'm going to do a more of a more of a 10-minute like super summary on it and show you what life's like if I set somebody up. So
Steve,
we'll go through. Go ahead.
just a quick thing too. People could copy their company and walk through the steps and get comfortable with the things that you're about to tell them.
Oh yeah, you can do a sandbox in BC, as you all know. You guys know you can play this. Make a sandbox, play around, do this. Again, I'm not gonna do the full thing here, but if you are super curious how to do it from soup to nuts, certainly go to the BC3 Amigos LinkedIn site and, you can search for the 1099 setups. There was a blog we did on Kim's blog site, which is connected to the BC3 Amigos, which talks about how do I set up the 1099, the new 1099 system. And again, if you're going to Summit, go into the session that does a deep dive on setting it up from soup to nuts. And again, that's October, so you've got 4 full months almost before you have to file. All right, let's do a real simple one. So make believe my company has got the new facility running in here. The 1099s are running and it's active, but I made this vendor and I had a vendor in here. I threw some money in them, called Nod Publishers. And I forgot to set them up. I have to send them a 1099. Now, this can happen to every vendor. I could have really forgotten everybody. I could have forgotten my whole company since the beginning of 2025. And I really need to set them up, and I need to get them active as if I set them up back on 1/1/2025. So to do so, if you scroll down, of course, to the fast tab called Payments, you'll notice almost a series of new fields that came about last year. This is the new facility for what is called 1099s. 1099 is much more, not complicated, but it's a different way of life when it came to the IRS and the future of the 1099s. And we did this because it was complicated every year to have to update the system, and Microsoft felt it was more conducive to rebuild it from scratch and make it a little easier for all of us to both populate 1099 information as well as report on 1099 information. So keyword, reporting period. Obviously, every year you have to report on the 1099. That's number one. What form is Nod Publisher going to use? What box within the form is Nod Publishers going to populate the value of 1099s? Can I send the 1099 through an e-form? Meaning, can I email it to my vendor rather than have to print it and send it? Now, this is becoming pretty much the wave of the future. Nobody's really printing them anymore. I mean, most people are sending them through emails. I mean, if you've got a mortgage or if you've got anything that requires a 1099 form to come to you, hopefully 90% of them are coming through email, and you're getting it and then you just print it out and you file your taxes every year as both a personal person or a business. So here you have the ability to say, yes, Nod Publishers will get this 1099 through e-form. And basically I will put the email address I'm going to send it to for the, who's getting this e-form right here. So I got to set Nod Publishers up. And again, I'm going to do this for one vendor, but really I want you to know this can be done for all vendors. We can certainly do the whole entire company as a whole and go back and propagate them so that it felt like I did this back on 1/1/2025. So first I need to attach Nod Publishers to an IRS reporting year. So I'm going to click in here and say, oh my God, I'm not an administrator. I can't do this. Well, I can really, because I actually am going, I'm going to go and I'm going to go find IRS. I'm just going to type the word IRS and open up my reporting periods. So there's my reporting period. Now, one of them is 2025. So obviously I'm going to put them into the year 2025, and I populated this ahead of time just to make life easier here. So I picked one of my years, 2025. That's one of my years. I did 2024 in case people want to go back and see things, and we started this back in 2024. Anyway, this was the year the new IRS features came out in Business Central. I'll go into vendor setup for a second, and I'll say, obviously, I'm on Nod Publishers. Remember, that's their name. I'll go find their name first. And again, I'm doing this one by one. You don't have to do this one by
Bless
one.
you, Kim.
Say that again?
I said bless her. She sneezed.
Oh, bless you, Kim. So I'm going to go into, I'll put Nod Publishers here. I'll skip over to the form. We all know their name. We don't have to worry about that. So the form is going to be NEC. So I'm not sure if everybody is aware of this, but obviously, as you know your forms, there are 4 major forms in the 1099 world today. There's dividends, interest, miscellaneous, which is still around. The old MIS is still around way back when, prior to NEC coming about. But for people who are subcontractors or non-employees, non-employee compensation, or NEC, that is the form you're to use. If you have different things like real estate, for instance, or dividend, not so much dividends, but almost like royalties, the MIS form is still there, so people can get those forms to if you're going to send out those kind of 1099s from your organization. Now, I mentioned before, you need a form. You also need to tell it which box it's going to go into. And it's listed. This comes inside of BC now. It's almost like it's telling me what to do. Vendor Nod Publishers, going to use form NEC, and I'm going to put it in non-employee compensation. You can see there's others here, but for the most part, you're just sending them a check. You're not withholding taxes and other things, but you're sending them a check every month for whatever your services they're rendering for your organization. So let's pick NEC01. Okay, that looks really great. I did my job, right? Let's go back and check. Let's go back one screen. Let's go back another screen. Sorry for the message, everybody. Oh, sorry for the message. I don't know what's going on. And I will go back into my vendor under Nod Publishers. And I'm going to refresh my screen because I don't know what's going on with our demo database, but let's refresh it anyway.
So, Steve, can I ask you the question that everybody's dying to know?
Sure, go ahead.
So you've set that up, but we've already made all these payments out to them. And how do you get that updated?
Well, you're just a little faster than I'm going to say, but I'm going to show you that in a second. So look how it filled it out. So all the blanks now have been filled out. I'm in this current year, 2025. I'm going to an NEC form, and I'm going to go box 01. But Rob's right. I mean, that's great. So big wow. I put it here knowing it's going to happen. So when I do my purchase invoices, I can say that, it's a 1099 person, and it'll populate it going forward. But Rob's right. What about the past? It's August 8th, 2025. And what about the last 7 months and 8 days? What about those documents? Okay, let's go find out about those documents. So Rob, let's go back to where we were. We'll go to IRS again. We'll open up the periods, and I'm doing this the long way. I can click on the line, and I'll go into my vendor setup again, and it's all filled out. But you'll notice there's an action up here called propagate. What propagate is in plain Jane English, it means please go back and please populate my 1099 information that was supposed to be there for my entries in the vendor ledger entry table that should have been 1099. Now, of course, this sounds a little bold, and I'm going to say that with somewhat of a grain of salt in a way. Let me explain. So I'm going to click propagate, and a message is going to appear. And it's going to say, okay, Steve, where should I go? And obviously it's only August 8th, but I'll leave it for the full year. And I'm going to look at all my ledger entry documents and purchase documents, let's say. And I'm just going to check things to make sure that anything currently open, unprocessed, gets a 1099, and anything that's already posted is a 1099. Now, the one thing I'm going to tell you is that it will look at everything, and it will I hate using the word assume, but that's the best word I'm gonna use today. It will apply the 1099 rule to that document. Doesn't mean that document should have been a 1099. You'll have to go through the ledger entries and remove remove that. There is no filter here that says it's like a pick and choose document method here on the screen. When this was created, uh, it basically, again, it assumed that the vendor in question is all 1099. Obviously, we all know, being in the United States, that not every single line in a purchase invoice requires 1099. The services might, but if you're reimbursing somebody for, say, travel, that's not 1099. Or, maybe some expense, or, they bought paper or supplies. That's not 1099. It's more of a reimbursement of an expense. The service, absolutely 1099. I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna set it off. I wanna go back to the vendor ledger entries and show you what I mean, more in a visual sense. So let's say yes to this and let it do its thing. It only takes a second. And again, this can be done for everybody in the past, Rob. And we can go look at that and kind of clean it up. So if I go back to the ledger entries, and I'm gonna go click on vendor, as you know, in the menu, ledger entries, it will open up the ledger entries in a second. And I'm gonna remove the filter here so we can get some more real estate on the screen. Okay, so there's a lot of things that have occurred in the past and into the future, and it would go back and look at different things. So not every one of these invoices probably had a 1099. Now, granted, a lot of mine go back many, many, many years. As you can see, this goes back for several years, but it doesn't mean that this line, let's say that invoice was not a 1099 invoice. Maybe I was reimbursing them again for travel. Sorry for the delay in the move over to the side here. Um, but it's basically, um, what I'm getting at is you can actually go on the screen here, and I am actually puzzled why this is
I
being
had
delayed.
I had the same trouble.
It's
One of the
Steve,
things.
it's the cloud.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna have to wait a second, everybody. So while in the meantime, we'll let Kim had something to say. Go ahead, Kim.
What I was gonna say is you're doing it for one vendor, but it is possible to do it for all the vendors. And as you transition from the old method to the new method, part of that wizard does all of that for you as well. So that's one of the reasons I think you should set up you should practice. That's the right word. The other thing is, am I is there I have a question. Is it true that you still have to enable the feature?
Yes, not well. It won't. It's permanent. It will be permanent now on the next round because
Okay.
it it's effective.
October.
Yeah, it's effective immediately. So by us telling people now, you're right. First, you enable it, which of course is one of the things you mentioned. And please go to our um, LinkedIn account, go to our YouTube channel here, and you can certainly watch this. But reach out to Kim's blog; it's all listed on our LinkedIn site where to get to these things. But you can see the handout that talks about how to start this from scratch. And certainly stop by the session in Community Summit in October. I'm don't know really why it froze up, to be honest with you, but I'm gonna do the most obvious, which is just refresh my screen. And you're right, Rob, I think the cloud is being extremely obnoxious today. I was at a customer earlier this morning, and they had the same problem anyway. I don't know if the cloud is being weird in general because it won't even like, oh, there we go. Now we're finally moving along.
It's the
So
tariffs.
so actually you can see as we go across the screen, you'll come across 1099 fields. Now remember, I wanted to show you this on purpose. I ran it for 2025. So watch what would happen if I go back, and we're going to do this real fast for the group before we call it a day. We're going to do the same thing that Rob asked us to do earlier and that Kim has talked about, is we'll go back into, again, 2024 vendor setup, and I'll add 50,000. Even though this is in the past for me, and again, I don't have to do the drop downs. That you can copy. F8 is copy from above. You can do it that way as well. But if I come back in here, of course, and then now that 1099 is done, I could have go back into the form now that I fixed my vendor, go back into vendor setup, find knob publishers, highlight the line, click action propagate. Now this time it'll show 2024. Watch what's going to happen here. I'll just do it for the ledger entries. Give it a oop, and that's it done. Now we just go right back to the vendor card, which we were on in 30 seconds ago. Find our friends nod publishers, go under vendor ledger entries. Whoop. And click here.
The problem is a payment's not 1099able. Only
Correct.
the invoices.
Only the invoices.
So you still don't have anything marked.
It will mark the affiliation so that
Oh,
when
we will go back. So it'll say we
Yeah.
paid this and it paid these invoices. Oh, that's nice. I did not know that.
Yeah, so watch what happens. It's all filled in now. So I've got stuff listed in here now finally. I did it. I'm sorry, wrong column. It will go back and only do invoices. My first line was a payment. So obviously if you want to see this, I had to go back to 2022, but I'm not going to do that for our conversation's sake.
Yeah.
The point is that the IRS reporting period would have been filled in with the year in question, 2020. Again, the form will be listed out. Sorry, guys. On my computer, I think this cloud is acting really strange to me. I don't know why. And then the form box is filled out as well.
So there's
could do-
all three. There used to be two boxes in here. One from the customer and the amount. Well, now you get all three that are on the customer and the amount.
Yeah, correct.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
But you'll notice this column here, the IRS reporting amount. When it does establish a connection to it, it will fill it in. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It will put the reporting amount again. It's a reporting amount. If it was paid in the year, that's the rule of, did I find a payment for this invoice in the calendar
Right.
year in question? That's how it understands to figure it out.
Yeah.
So people ask one important question.
Go for it.
Going back to what you said earlier, it doesn't. It assumes every line on that original invoice is out there is 1099. Is the 1099 reporting amount editable after the fact?
Yep, you can come in here. So if, for instance, if this line is not supposed to be, you can erase all 4 of those and remove it from your calculation. And that's the best part. I know it seems in retrospect, it seems ugly to say, well,
Feels a little clunky, but
It's
it's
a little
because we're
clunky,
used to.
Better than
Right.
the worst.
and the idea is that this is going to be so much easier, people, so much easier for the future. You would not believe how much easier this is compared to the old nav way and then the vision way that it was. You just have to
even
set it
last
up
year.
once and it's done.
Steve, even last year, I had so many calls from people who couldn't submit the file. So yeah, this
And
The emailing of the 1099s is great. The fact that you can submit the 1096 now, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's huge improvement.
It's huge improvements. And again, gang, I know we don't have enough time to go through every little thing here, but the most important thing I want to tell you is stop by. Again,
There's a good session.
there's a great session, a 90-minute session. We're going to have multi-sessions actually at Summit on this. So please stop by that. Please visit our LinkedIn site and you can find actually information about this. There was a blog done and it actually is on the LinkedIn site. Visit Kim's blog site, which is also listed there as well. So please reach out to that. But before we leave, we always like to do this at the end of every one of our podcasts. Where are we going, gang? Where do we find ourselves in the future? What's coming up? What's coming downtown? I mean, obviously, we've talked about Summit in North America, October 19th to the 23rd, I believe is what it is. Actually, 23rd
Before that,
Academy. But
well,
before
even
Summit,
before that,
where are you guys? Where are we going to be? I mean, we're some places, I think, in some September and October, I believe. So
I got in August 14th. We've got the Houston chapter meeting, the local Houston
that's
chapter
right.
meeting, and we're going to be covering more service functionality. Then again, Kim and I and Steve, I think you're going to be there in the DFW area in September.
yes, DFW has the
What date is that?
That's September 17th. down in the Grapevine
17.
area, Doug Regional Event, September 17th, Grapevine. So we've got that event. I think all of us are going to be there. Our National Users Group, August 28th, virtual meeting. So certainly sign up for that.
We
I
have an
think,
Ask the Experts meeting in August on
yeah,
the 27th,
I believe so. I think it's the 27th this month.
25th,
27th,
25th. They
25th,
moved it to
25th
the
this month.
25th. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a set it and forget it. But come on and learn those.
And let's see what else do we've got. We've got our road shows. Rob, I think we've got some road shows coming up in
We
is it
got
Madison,
Charlotte.
Wisconsin?
I don't remember all of them. You know, that's one of the great things that we spread this wealth around the country. So Charlotte is coming up.
Nashville is coming up. Then Houston, Texas, December 9th at the end of the year. We do take a break in October and November, gang. It's just because there's so many conferences coming up in October, and then November has also another conference for the partners. So there's obviously everybody's busy. And then we end the year in Fort Lauderdale, Florida at the Microsoft office on December 11th. The Houston one's at the Microsoft Tech Center. Nashville is at the Hilton Nashville downtown, and then the Wisconsin one's at the Doubletree Madison East. Um, I know there's also a Doug regional event in Ohio Valley on August 26th in Dublin, Ohio. And there's an August 21st in Denver, Colorado coming up, a one-day Doug regional event. So you'll definitely catch us at different places. I know we're at a lot of these this half of the year. We're traveling all around, all three of us. We're all together several times. And again, definitely reach out to our LinkedIn channel, BC3 Amigos, where you will find all of our blogs and articles we posted and recordings. We always list them out there, as well as our YouTube channel. Certainly go to that.
Follow us.
Um,
Follow us, the YouTube channel, and follow the BC3 Amigos LinkedIn.
Yeah. And hopefully later this year, we're just wrapping it up or hoping to get at least before the end of the year. Our website will be available. I think it's just having a little clunkiness. I call it IT disaster clunkiness. And our IT department, who is not one of the three of us, trust me, because we are not IT sufficient to even make a website, as you can tell by us trying to present our screens. But that will hopefully be up. And then all of this will be on one website. You can just go there and get all the information anytime you want and reach out. So other than that, gang, I mean, anything else before we call it a day? I mean, summer, any great activities happening in the next couple of days before Labor Day?
Stay cool, folks.
Yep. Stay cool.
All right, gang. With that saying, I'm going to say let's stay cool, and we will see you guys next month on our September one, and hopefully we'll have a great visitor with us to talk more about BC. And again, go out, reach out to us if you
Register
want
for Summit. Come
Yes.
see us.
Come see us at Summit. We'll have a great. It's a long week, and it's amazing what you're going to see us. And the BC3 Amigos will all be around the medic desk, sitting there, having fun and giving
Answering
people
questions.
answering questions for you.
Enjoying
So,
cervezas.
yes, having a lot of cervezas. All right, gang. Have a good one.
Don't forget the ice chest.